Welcome to another evening of Awaken the Soul and Take Control, exploring Tanya. So I want to ask a question, and the question is as follows. Do you ever look through an old picture, an old graduation picture, when you graduated or you're with a group, the class of 85, the class of 92. And what's the first thing we look at the picture for? We don't say, oh boy, do I remember this class. The first thing we look for is ourselves. The first thing we look for in the picture, in any group picture, is ourselves. Why? We want to remember what we looked like. Did I look good? Where did I fit in? How was I in that picture? And I'll go to a different group picture of a different year and say, wow, here I looked better, I looked worse, I fit in better, I had a better place. I was being blocked, I wasn't being blocked, I was blocking someone else. Let's look at a bigger picture. And the bigger picture is called, my friends, the world. The world we live in. Did we ever look at that picture and say, where do I fit in? Me, little guy, I'm a pawn in the game of life. Big world. I don't know how many people, I won't even try to say the number, right? Where do I fit in? And now the question is, not only where do I fit in, the question might be, do I really fit in? Can I do something to add to the world, little me? What am I actually accomplishing on this world? What do I add? And where do I fit in? So what the Tanya, the author of the Tanya, Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi, is going to speak about, we started it last week. We're going to speak about, at least start, how every single person, every single one of us has something to add to the world. Now, we're not talking about our professions, adding in our professions. We're talking about to life. We cannot define ourselves by our professions. If we define ourselves by our professions, what happens if we take away that profession? What are we? So we are not really defined by our professions. So if we're not really defined by our professions, what are we defined by? And what and where do I fit in this world? Little me. So before we learn it inside, I want to go over it a little bit again outside. The Alter Rebbe says, the Baal Tanya says, that every single Jew consists of two souls. Now, we're not only talking about one soul with two personalities. We're talking about two personas, two personalities. What does that mean? That means as follows. Many of us, a matter of fact, all of us, some of us don't like to admit it, but we all struggle with life. We all struggle with doing the right thing or doing maybe something that might not be wrong, but it's more selfish. And it's a struggle. I'll wake up one morning and I'm ready to do for the world. I'm ready to be as selfless as possible. I'll wake up the next morning, I'll say, the heck with it. What am I doing? I have to reach in to my own pocket for the money that I worked for so hard and give it to someone that needs, let someone else worry about him. Or as many people will tell me, what are you giving him charity for? Let him find a job. But we don't know what his situation is. But many people will tell me that. And we go with a struggle between right, wrong, selfish, and selfless. Says the Tanya, that's a normal thing. That's who we are. And says the Tanya, we each have two souls. One soul, and this is the soul that the Tanya is going to speak about in this chapter. And I'll just touch about the second soul tonight also, which the Tanya will start at the second chapter. And the Tanya will say as follows. A person has what we call a nefesh habahamis, an animalistic soul. And it's in our blood. It gives us a drive to live. But it also gives us a life to eat, to drink, to make sure we survive. Again, we survive. Now, let's look, says the Tanya, why is it called an animalistic soul, a nefesh habahamis? So we're not talking about evil. We're not talking about bad. We're talking about selfish. We're talking about everything is about me. There's a difference about living for me or living for someone else, accomplishing for others. An animal, a dog, is not bad. As a matter of fact, they say a dog is man's best friend. Right? How do you say an animal in Hebrew? Kelev. Kelev is a dog. If you take the word kelev, it's really two words. Kelev, like the heart. It's full of emotions. It's really kulelev. It's all emotions. It's all emotions, instincts. And experts will tell you that a dog will reflect its owner's personality. When the owner's frustrated, the dog will be frustrated. And so on and so forth. Kelev. Now, if you take the word, by the way, behema. Behema means an animal. How do we spell behema? Beis, hey, mem, hey. Behema. You take the word kelev, they both have the same numerical value of 52. Same numerical value. So a kelev is not a bad animal. It's not bad. But the bottom line, it's still an animal. So what's an animal? I live for the here and now. I have to make sure I take care of myself. I survive. I eat. I have what to eat. I do what I have to do because this is what I need to do to survive. It's all about me, and me. There was once a rabbi, a Chabad rabbi, a mentor, sitting and farbrengen. It was a Hasidic gathering with his students. And they were into very heavy and intense conversations, and it was already 2 a.m. And all of a sudden, guess what happened? The baby started crying upstairs. So instead of having his wife get up and quiet the baby while he's partying with his students downstairs, he got up, he excused himself from his students, and he brought the baby downstairs. And he was sitting with a baby on his lap. And the baby wanted to eat a little, cried. The baby was dirty, cried. He changed the baby, and so on and so forth. And all of a sudden, this Hasidic rabbi, looks at his students and says, "What do you think of my baby?" So now he's putting everyone on the spot. Because what are you going to say? The baby's noisy? You ain't going to tell that to your teacher. Okay? What are you going to say? The baby's a brat? Crying too much? You ain't going to say that. So everyone's saying, "Oh, the baby's so cute." And the baby, "Oh, look at that smile." And everyone's, flattering the baby. And the rabbi says, "That's not the answer I wanted to hear." The rabbi said, "This is an example of an animalistic soul." Why? Because just like an animal wants to survive, an animal cannot communicate with you. It's just going to do what it's got to do because it's got to do it to survive. The baby can communicate with you. Right? The baby's not going to communicate with you. It's dirty, nah. It wants to eat, nah. It's the same, nah. A little higher, a little lower, but it's the same cry. Why? Because when does the baby get quiet? When the baby gets what it wants. Now, did you ever hear of a baby saying, "I am dirty, I'm laying in my crib with a dirty diaper, but no, I can't cry because I'm going to wake up my mommy and my tati"? Did you ever hear that, such a baby? I never did. I don't think they have such a thing. Maybe, in the Guinness Book of World Records, maybe, but I never heard of such a baby. An animal, do you think it's going to say, "Oh no, my master is sleeping. Oh no, I'm sorry, master. I'm sorry, boss. Oh, I made a mistake"? It also can communicate. It's instinct. Babies are instincts. It's dirty, it cries. Selfish. That's the animalistic soul. Very selfish. No vision. Here and now. Not anything the future. Where did I come from? Where am I going? Not an animal thinks that way. By the way, if anyone knows of an animal who ever thought that way, of, boy, where did I come from? Where am I going? What's my purpose in life? Do me a favor, let me know. I'll buy one of those animals. Okay? But I don't think so. A baby, the same thing. A baby will not think, "My parents are sleeping. My mother carried me for 9 months. How can I wake her up?" No way. I want something. I want it now. And if I don't get it now, I'm going to make my voice heard. I'm going to get it in some shape or form. Says the Tanya, the Alter Rebbe, that is also called something by the name of klipa. Klipa means a husk, a peel, a shell. A shell is not bad. If you take the peel of an orange, on the contrary, it focuses on the main part of it. It doesn't focus, it protects the main part of the orange, the juicy part. But if we focus, why is it called klipa, a peel? Because we can't see it. We're blind to the truth. We're blind to the real. It blocks our vision of the real orange, the real juice. We have to take it off, cut it off somehow or another, and then see the real fruit. Says the Alter Rebbe, the Tanya, a peel is not bad on one condition. If you focus, your focus is on the essence and not the peel. Once you're focusing on the outer layer and not the essence, not the purpose, not the goal, then what's the pill worth? That's where we run into problems. And says the Alter Rebbe, the Tanya, and that's also called Sitra Achara. Means, literally, Sitra Achara means the other side. The world contains two things. It's brought down in the Zohar, which is the foundation of mysticism, that everything in the world has in it good and bad. You can use it for good, and you can use it for bad. Everything in the world, says the Zohar, has two things. Kedusha, holiness. Sitra, the Kedusha, the side of holiness. And Sitra Achra, the other side. The other side is not evil. Whatever is not holy or serves a purpose to serve God is Sitra Achra. It's not Kedusha, it's not holiness. So that's all part of this animalistic soul. The other soul that we're going to learn about next week is called the Nefesh Elikis, the godly soul. Believe it or not, every one of us here, no matter how far we think we are from holiness, from spirituality, from godliness, how anti-godliness we could be sometimes, we still have a spark of God in us, which is called Achelek Elikai Mimal Mamish, an actual spark of godliness. Now, what's the difference between the animalistic soul and the godly soul? It's really one main difference, two main differences really. One difference is the animalistic soul, the animal, as we said, is selfish. The godly soul is selfless. And besides what I'm about to say, we look at things with a goal. We contemplate a little bit. What are we doing down here? Is there a goal that we're accomplishing down here? We were born in a special period of time, to a special set of parents, to a special siblings. Was that random? Or is it by divine providence? And if it's by divine providence, my friends, that means we have a purpose. We have a purpose more than just the self. The world is full of klipa, full of shells, and it covers up the beauty and the godliness of the world. We have to focus on the goals and not the outer distractions, the peel, the covering. How many of us, I don't feel like it. Judaism doesn't speak to me today. God hasn't appeared to me for the last year. Well, by the way, he has. The fact that we wake up every morning, God's waking us up and saying, my friend, you matter. And if you matter this morning, the world can't exist today without you. Otherwise, if it could, I take you back to me. Now go conquer the world. But we say to ourselves sometimes, what can I accomplish? What can I do? Little me. So the answer is, we're a part of God. We have a divine spark inside of us. You want to see God? You want to find God? Look in the mirror. Look at yourselves. See how holy we are. And then we can refine the world and bring godliness and holiness to the world. We're not only talking about sitting in shul and learning and davening a whole day. We don't consider that holy. That is part of our mission on this world, of service of God. But how about using the physicality and transforming it into spirituality? What God wants is to live with us on this world. But we have to make it a dwelling place for God. How do we do that? By using physicality, making it spirituality. Let me give you an example. Tefillin. Everyone knows what tefillin are made from. Everyone knows what parchment is made from. Everyone knows what money is made from, but yet we can use it for spirituality. We all have professions. Some of us do our professions and are involved strictly for our name and strictly for our fame and strictly to make money. Some of us do it because we want to be there for other people. That is part of our DNA, to be selfless for other people. Each one of us in different ways. But that is our battle. What are we doing on this world? Can we do more? Whatever we've accomplished, is it enough? And this is what the Alter Rebbe is going to speak about. Let me read it inside. To explain this, what Reb Chaim Vital wrote, B'Shari Kedusha, the whole Ish Yisrael, every single Jewish man. Now I want you to notice, it doesn't say, I said this last week, I'm going to say it again. It does not say every yeshiva boy. It does not say everyone that wears a black yarmulke. It does not say everyone who has a beard. It doesn't say part of the Jews, only those who are observant. It says the l'chol ish Yisrael, every single Jew, echad tzaddik, whether this Jew is a tzaddik, a righteous person, the echad rasha, and whether he is evil and bad and hasn't seen the light yet. Yesh shtei nefashes, he has two souls. And like it says in the book of prophets, uneshamais ani asisi. It doesn't say uneshama in a singular form, I made a soul. It says uneshamais, plural, I made souls. And our rabbis derive from this that we're talking about two different souls. Shehein shtei nefashes. They're different, completely different and independent souls. Nefesh achas, one soul mitzad klipa, is egocentric and only knows about the klipa, focuses on the peel, focuses on the here and now, focuses on their food, focuses on what they need, focuses on their self. That's the Nefesh HaBahamis. V'sitra achra, and the other side of holiness, as we spoke about. And the Alter Rebbe says, don't think when we have desires to do something not that holy, or to wanna do something not related to godliness, don't think it comes from an outside source, from an outside entity. No, this animalistic soul, the mislabeshes bedam ha'odom la'ach yesaguf, it is enclosed in the blood of every single one of us. It's in our blood. It makes us live. It enlivens us. Ukidesiva, like it says, ki nefesh habasar bedami. And the nefesh, the soul of the flesh, is in the blood, which means there's nothing wrong with having this soul. We're born with it. But wait a minute. If it's going to lead us to do wrong things, why do we have it? What do we need it for? Because without this Nevesh Abahamis, without this animalistic soul, the godly soul serves no purpose. The Alter Rebbe is going to tell us the only way that the godly soul actually serves a purpose is when it comes and in contact with the physicality, with the body, with this animalistic soul. And it's really two kings inside of us. It's called the struggle of the two souls. It's a fight. Are we godly? Let's do good. Are we animalistic? Wait a minute, so it's all about me. But wait a minute, if I'm godly, it's about other people. It's about a higher power. It's about service of God. And service of God, we don't only mean the davening part. Service of God means refining this world to a better place, to a godly place, to a place where God will look down, will come down and say, it's wonderful to be down here. It's a machaya. But imagine if all we do is feed into our animalistic soul. Give it whatever it wants, because it doesn't see a future. The godly soul sees that higher power. There's a goal in the world. Are you telling me the world was created so the world could be destroyed? Doesn't make sense. How do we come to all this? How do we come to godliness? How do we come to actually, wow, there is a goal. So the Alter Rebbe brings down, and it's brought down all over Kabbalah and Chassidic philosophy, Chassidus. If we take 5 minutes, step back, and contemplate a little bit about godliness. Contemplate about how the world works. Contemplate about the beauty of the world. Contemplate about all of God's creations. Contemplate about how our body functions, how our bodies work. No offense to any doctors on the Zoom conference, but let me tell you something. Science can only tell us so much. They say, when there's no better explanation, what does everyone tell us? It's nature. It's Mother Nature. Chassidus tells us no. There is no such thing as Mother Nature. Mother Nature is God remaining anonymous. Mother Nature is godliness. But it's godliness that we take for granted. The sun rises, the sun sets. The leaves fall, the leaves grow. Sunrise, sunset. We're not on Fiddler on the Roof here. But imagine if we would contemplate about our bodies, eyes, how our eyes see, how the heart works. the body functions, how it knows when to eat, when not to eat, when to relieve ourselves, we would say, wait a minute, there's gotta be a greater power. This can only be from God. And wait a minute, if it can only be from God, and that means I'm part of God's puzzle. I'm part of his plan. But what happens if I just look at myself as little me? You know what happens? I will remain little me. But if we look at ourselves as a piece of godliness, even though we have an animalistic soul, if we look at ourselves as divine, a divine creation, wait a minute. Then I look at myself not as a pawn, not as little me, but as royalty. Because I am a source. My source is Melech Malchei Amlachim, the King of all kings. And I'm his child. And if I'm his child, that means I'm a prince. I am royalty. We call that contemplation, my friends. And the more we contemplate, the more we say to ourselves, you know what? This nefesh habahamis, there's nothing to it. This nefesh habahamis, I have to fight it. This animalistic soul, we have to fight. This animalistic soul is just selfish and animalistic. Just what its definition is animalistic. We all have a potential. No matter how far we think we are. And this is what the Alter Rebbe tells us. We all have inside of us that godly spark. May Hashem give us the strength to overcome our temptations and overcome our animalistic soul. And we will continue exploring the Tanya in Mirz Hashem next week, Monday, 7:30. I wish everyone a good night and all the best. Be well.